He went back inside, closed the door, and sat in the darkness. Favor found him there, tears streaming down his face. "I heard everything," she whispered. "I gave them everything, everything, and this is what I get?" She held him as he cried, really cried, for the family he thought he had, for the love he thought they shared, for 35 years of believing in people who only saw him as a resource to be exploited. But in that darkness, in that pain, something else was born, something hard, something unbreakable. Marvellous wiped his tears and looked at his wife. "Tomorrow," he said, his voice steady now, cold now. "Tomorrow they are coming with thugs to search my house for money they think I'm hiding. What will you do?" Marvellous smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had finally seen the light. "Tomorrow, I end this, once and for all." And so, on day 30, when Solomon came banging on the gate with 3 big men, when they demanded their share of the money they believed Marvellous was hiding, they got more than they bargained for. They got the truth. A truth so devastating, so complete that it would change everything forever. But that, my people, is what happens when you test those who claim to love you and discover they only loved what you could give them. The next morning, day 30, Solomon came with 3 men. Big, rough-looking men, Christiana's brothers. They came ready for war, ready to tear down the gate if necessary. Bam, bam, bam. The banging on the gate echoed through the whole street. "Marvellous! Marvellous! Come out! We know you are in there! Come out now!" Neighbors started gathering. This was about to be a show. Marvellous let them bang for 5 full minutes. Let them work themselves into tiredness. Let the crowd grow. Then, calmly, too calmly, he opened the gates. The Marvellous who stood there was different from the broken man they'd been seeing. He was clean-shaven. His clothes were fresh, ironed. His eyes were clear. He looked like a man who had slept very well. Solomon blinked, confused. "Marvellous, you look good? Healthy? Not like a man dying of poverty?" Marvellous smiled, that cold smile. "Come in, brother. Come in with your soldiers. Let's talk." They entered, suspicious now, sensing something was wrong with this picture. "Where is the money you are hiding?" Solomon demanded, but his voice had less confidence now. "We know you have it. Stop lying and just..." "Lying?" Marvellous laughed. He laughed so hard, so long, that everyone fell silent. He turned to face them all properly. Solomon, his thugs, and by now, Precious had arrived too. And somehow, Mama Maduka had materialized as well. Perfect. Everyone was here. "Let me tell you about lying, Solomon. Let me tell you about the biggest lie I ever told in my entire life." "What are you talking about?" Mama Maduka demanded. "I lied about being broke." Marvellous's voice rang out loud and clear. The neighbors at the gate leaned in closer. "I lied about the business collapsing. I lied about the debts, the struggles, all of it. Every single word." You could hear a pin drop. You what?" Solomon's face was going through several colors. "I lied," Marvellous repeated slowly. "My business is not just surviving, it's thriving. I have more money now than I've ever had. I have 3 new contracts worth millions. My bank account is fuller than it's ever been. I'm not broke. I never was." But the generator, the spare tire, the crying, the begging," Precious stammered. "A test," Marvellous shouted. "It was all a test. I wanted to see if any of you actually loved me or if you only loved my money. And guess what I discovered?" He looked at each of them, his eyes hard as stone. "Not one of you passed." Marvellous, you're not making sense, Papa Maduka started. Not making sense? Marvellous turned on him. Papa, I came to you crying. I begged you for 20,000 naira. Just 20,000. And you called me useless and told me to get out. But let me tell you something, Papa. Just last month, you sent me a text asking for 25,000 naira for your lodge meeting. And I sent it within 5 minutes. 5 minutes! But when your son came begging, you couldn't spare 1 kobo. You slammed the door in my face. He turned to Mama Maduka. And you, Mama, you chased me with a broom. Your own son. I told you my children hadn't eaten and you chased me like a thief. But Mama, how many times have you called me to send money for hair, for clothes, for church contributions? And did I ever say no? Did I? Mama Maduka's mouth opened and closed like a fish. And Solomon, Marvellous moved closer to his elder brother. You, Solomon, I came to you begging for 50,000 naira. I explained I had a contract that would save my life. And you know what you told me? You told me I should have managed my money better. You, Solomon, the man whose rent I've paid for 5 years, the man whose wedding cost me 300,000 naira, the man whose wife's hospital bills I've covered more times than I can count. You stood there and lectured me about financial management. Solomon, I didn't have the money, Solomon tried. You had my 100,000 naira. I gave it to you 1 week before I came begging. 1 week. And you told me it was finished. But Solomon, let me ask you something. If you didn't have money, why are you here with 3 hired thugs? How much are you paying them? 30,000? 40,000? You had money to hire muscle, but no money to help your own brother? Solomon's face went pale. Marvellous turned to Precious. And you, my baby brother, I called you begging for 5,000 naira. I told you my children were hungry and you switched off your phone. Switched it off. But Precious, let me remind you, just in the month before my poverty, how much did I send you? 10,000 the first week, 8,000 the second week, 5,000 the third week, another 7,000 the fourth week. That's 30,000 naira for drinks in 1 month. But when I needed 5,000 for food, you couldn't spare it. Precious was crying now, actual tears. Bro Marv, I didn't know. You didn't know what? You didn't know I was your brother? You didn't know I've been carrying you since we were children? You didn't know that everything I ever had, I shared with all of you? The crowd outside the gate was growing. People were whispering, gasping, some even shouting, "Hey God," at the revelations. For 30 days, Marvellous continued, his voice breaking now with real emotion. I pretended to be broke. I sold things I didn't need to sell. I let people pity me. I let the whole village think I was finished. And you know why? Because I needed to know if anyone in my family actually cared about me, not my money, me. He wiped his eyes roughly. And what did I learn? I learned that when I came to Solomon's house begging, he gave me financial advice like he was Aliko Dangote. I learned that when I called Precious crying, he blocked my number. I learned that when I fell at my parents' feet, they told me I was a disgrace. I learned that not one of you called to check on me. Not one text message asking, "Bro Marvellous, are you okay?" Not one visit to say, "Brother, we may not have money, but we're here for you." Nothing. But we thought... Mama Maduka's voice was small now. You thought what, Mama? You thought I was lying. Yes, because that's easier than admitting you're all selfish. So instead of helping me in my time of need, you gathered outside my house like a coven, planning how to force me to give you money you think I am hiding. You were going to break into my house, search my bedroom with dogs. Is that what family does? The silence was deafening. Marvellous took a deep breath, calming himself. When he spoke again, his voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of finality. From today, right now, this minute, I am done. D-O-N-E. Done. I'm not your ATM anymore. I'm not your backup plan. I'm not your emergency fund. You want money? Work for it like I did. You want help? Help yourselves like you told me to do. Marvellous, you can't mean that, Solomon started. I can and I do. Marvellous pulled out an envelope from his pocket. This contains every single amount I gave each of you in the last 5 years. I kept records. Solomon, 2.3 million naira. Precious, 1.8 million naira. Mama and Papa, 1.5 million naira. That's 5.6 million naira. 5.6 million naira. And when I needed just 50,000 naira, none of you could help me. He tore the envelope in half, letting the paper scatter. Consider it all a gift from the ATM machine you used to have, but the machine is broken now, permanently out of service. You're making a mistake, Mama Maduka found her voice, loud and sharp. We are your family. You cannot abandon your family. Family, Marvellous laughed bitterly. Family, you know what I learnt? I learnt that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when you're down. It's about who helps you when you can't help yourself. And not one of you showed up. Not one. He pointed to the crowd at the gate. You see Mama Fadia there? She brought me food when she heard I was struggling. Brother Emeka from church organized a contribution for me. My neighbor Uncle James offered to lend me his tools so I could start doing small repairs to make money. Strangers, Mama, strangers showed me more love than my own blood. Papa Maduka stood up, trying to salvage some dignity. Marvellous, you will regret this. You are cursing yourself by abandoning your family. The only curse is thinking that people who only love your money are your family. I'm not abandoning you, Papa. You abandoned me 30 days ago when I came to you broken and you turned me away. He looked at all of them one last time. Get out of my compound, all of you, and take your thugs with you, Solomon. Tell them the job is cancelled. There's no money to steal here. Not for you anyway. Marvellous, please, Precious tried. Get out! The roar came from somewhere deep inside him. Get out and never come back. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't send your account numbers. Don't show up at my gate. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have brothers. I don't have parents. I'm an orphan and an only child. Now leave. They left. They stumbled over each other, scrambling for the gate. The three thugs practically ran. The neighbors parted to let them through, and the whispers followed them. So they're the wicked ones. Can you imagine? Their own brother was suffering and they did nothing. But when he had money, they were collecting. Now wow, what a family. As the gate closed behind them, Marvellous stood there, shaking. Favor came out and held him. It's over, she whispered. It's finally over. Yes, he said, his voice hollow. It's over. And it was. In the weeks that followed, they tried everything. Mama Maduka came crying, rolling on the ground at his gate. My son, you want to kill me. How can you do this to your mother? Marvellous closed the curtains and turned on the TV louder. Papa Maduka sent the village elders. Your father is your father. You cannot disown him. It's against tradition. Marvellous told them politely but firmly. Ask my father if he remembered tradition when he slammed the door in my face. Thank you for coming. Goodbye. Precious came, sober for the first time in months, with tears streaming down his face. Bro Marv, I'm sorry. I was foolish. Please forgive me. I need you. I'm trying to get my life together and... Precious, Marvellous spoke through the gate, not opening it. When I needed you, you switched off your phone. When you need me, I'm switching off my heart. We're even. Please leave. Solomon tried a different approach. He sent a long letter, 10 pages, explaining his actions, apologizing, promising to change. Marvellous read the first line. Dear brother, I hope this letter finds you well, and threw it in the trash without reading further. But the most shocking attempt came from Mama Maduka. She showed up with the pastor, the choir, and half the church congregation. "Brother Marvellous," the pastor called through the gate, "we have come to mediate. The Bible says we should forgive. You must forgive your family." Marvellous came to the gate but didn't open it. "Pastor, with all due respect, did you come when I was broke? When the whole village was talking about my downfall? When I was selling my belongings?" The pastor looked uncomfortable. "Well, the church did contribute. Yes, after my mother spread the news, yes. But Pastor, did you see my parents contribute even 100 naira to that offering? Did you see my brothers? They're in your church every Sunday. Did any of them give?" Silence. "That's what I thought. Thank you for your concern, Pastor. But this matter is between me and God now. And God and I have an understanding. He knows what they did. He knows what I suffered. And He knows why I made this decision." He turned to leave, then turned back. "Oh, and Mama, stop using the church to manipulate me. It won't work. God is not mocked. Whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. You sowed selfishness. Now you are reaping abandonment. Enjoy your harvest." The church delegation left in confusion. Some members later confessed they understood Marvellous's position completely. Months passed, then a year. Marvellous's business grew bigger, much bigger. He landed a government contract that made him richer than he'd ever dreamed. He moved to a better house in a better area, an area where none of them knew the address. He and Favor had their first child, a beautiful baby girl. They named her Grace because Marvellous said, holding his daughter, "It's only by God's grace that I survived my own family." Meanwhile, Solomon's life fell apart. Christiana left him, taking their children, when she realized the money well had truly dried up. Solomon had to move back to their parents' house, sleeping in the same room he'd slept in as a child. The irony was not lost on anyone. Precious hit rock bottom. He lost his job due to drinking. Delight gave him an ultimatum: rehab or divorce. He chose rehab. It took 6 months, but he got sober, really sober. And in his sobriety, he finally understood what he'd lost. Mama and Papa Maduka became bitter. They blamed everyone but themselves. Ungrateful children, they told anyone who would listen. We suffered to raise them and see how they repay us. Conveniently forgetting that they had 2 other sons living under their roof who they'd never asked for help from, because those sons had made it clear long ago that the bank of Maduka was a one-way street. But Marvellous thrived. He learned to give wisely, to orphanages, to genuinely struggling families, to people who needed a hand up, not a hand out. He sponsored children's education, he helped widows. He did it all quietly, without fanfare, without expecting anything in return. And the most surprising thing? He was happier, genuinely deeply happy. The weight he'd been carrying for 35 years was gone. The constant phone calls demanding money, gone. The guilt trips, gone. The manipulation, gone. The stress, gone. "You know what's funny?" he told Favor one evening as they watched Grace play in their garden. "I have more money now than ever before, and I'm spending less because I'm not funding 4 extra families anymore. I'm building wealth, real wealth, for us, for Grace, for our future." Favor smiled. "No regrets?" Marvellous thought about it, really thought about it. None. Not one. Because that 1 month, those 30 days of testing taught me the most important lesson of my life. Your value as a human being is not determined by what you can do for others, and people who only love you for what you can give them don't actually love you at all. He picked up Grace, who giggled and grabbed his nose. "This little one will never know what it's like to be used. I'll teach her the difference between helping and enabling, between generosity and foolishness, between family and blood relatives." 5 years later, Marvellous was at a business conference when he saw Solomon. His elder brother looked different, older, humbler, worn down by life. "Solomon," he said quietly, not approaching too close, respecting the boundary. "I know you don't want to talk to me. I need to say this. I finally understand. I understand everything. What we did to you, what I did. I was a parasite. We all were. And you had every right to cut us off." He paused, swallowing hard. "I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. Truly sorry. Not because I want you back in my life. I know that ship has sailed. But because you deserved better from your family. You deserved better from me." Marvellous looked at him for a long moment. He saw the sincerity, he saw the brokenness, and he felt nothing. No anger, no bitterness, but also no desire to reconnect. That chapter was closed. "I appreciate that, Solomon," he said finally. "I truly do, and I forgive you. But forgiveness doesn't mean restoration. I've built a new life, a good life. And it doesn't have room for people who only valued me as an ATM." He started to walk away, then turned back. "But Solomon, I hope you learn from this. I hope you become the man to your children that you never were to me as a brother. I hope you break this cycle. Because if you don't, one day they'll do to you what I did to you, and you'll finally understand how it feels." With that, he walked away for the last time. That night, sitting on his balcony with Favor, watching the sunset, watching Grace chase butterflies in the garden, Marvellous felt a peace he'd never known before. "You know what I've learned?" he said to his wife. "The hardest decision you'll ever make is knowing when to stop carrying people who refuse to walk on their own. But once you make that decision, once you put down that weight, you'll fly higher than you ever dreamed possible." Favor squeezed his hand. "You did the right thing." "I know, and I do it again, because I'm not a machine. I'm a human being, and I deserved to be loved for who I am, not what I have." Thank you for watching to the end. I hope you picked a lesson. See you in our next episode. Bye!